And we are back with another episode of the Hockey Princess podcast. I am your host, the Hockey Princess. We have Crusty Old Guy here. Just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Music, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. Please, please, please wait for the whistle. Do not get up while the puck's in play. If you were at the Winter Classic, that's the one exception. Not really, but we allowed it. But if that was your first game and you think that's normal in a hockey game, it's not. Please wait for the whistle. Do not get up while the puck's in play. Let's get into it. Krusty, we have a lot of things.
We have a lot of things?
Well, some things. And some things are good and some things are not so good. But we're going to focus on the new things. Gosh darn it, because it's 2025.
It is 2025. When did that happen?
Yesterday.
Oh, geez. They all just blend together.
I know. Cuckoo crazy.
Yeah, cuckoo for coconuts.
Absolutely. Some things in the NHL world, some news, some updates, some things. Ovi is back. Thank goodness. Wreaking havoc on most of the Eastern Conference. Came back for Saturday night's hockey night in Canada, Washington Capitals versus Toronto Maple Leafs. Washington ended up winning. Now that I know that he's not going to break the record at the United Center, I'm very excited to watch this record-chasing thing happen. I mean, I was excited before, but I just didn't want it happening in my home.
I can dig it.
So that's Ovi's back. Matthews, they're projected. They're thinking that he's back at some point during the weekend. Maybe they're not sure. Rumors and rumblings, he'll be back by the weekend. Another piece of news, Zach LaRue, who was a kind of prospect-ish, like going back and forth between Nashville and the Milwaukee Admirals, has a hearing with player safety against his actions against Jared Spurgeon when Nashville played Minnesota. If anyone who was listening last year would remember that I'm not the biggest fan of this guy because he took a pretty nasty cheap shot to Colton Dock one game when Rockford was playing Milwaukee. It was hit to the back of the head when Colton wasn't looking. Not he didn't keep his head up sort of a thing, clean hit, but it was a back to the head, not a good hit. He does have a history of some
douchebaggery.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know how to put this in a nice way, but he definitely he lives at towing the line, and sometimes he will definitely go past the line.
Yes, I've heard it on other podcasts called douchebaggery, or there's a ton of other different terms. We'll have to figure out our term for meatheads who act extra meatheady-ish.
Yeah.
We'll work on that. I'll put some of my best people on it. But they're away. They're on it now.
Yeah, there we go. Our pretend intern is on it. Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see. I wonder if if player safety is trying to at least curb that behavior when they right at the beginning of when they come to the NHL after they see that this is kind of a consistent thing. Really don't know why he's getting a hearing. Yes, he's done stuff, but if the player safety handed out hearings anytime they kind of jumped over the line of things that weren't the safest, pretty sure most hockey players, or at least a decent portion on every team, would have a lot of hearings.
Yeah, I did not see the hit.
It was slew footing.
Yes, which that's what I'm reading right now. That's something that the league really does not tolerate. Because that's basically tripping somebody, taking their skates out, and then throwing them down onto the ice, which usually about all the time means you're smacking your head pretty darn good on the ice.
Yeah.
The league takes that a lot more seriously than they do any kind of, head-on-head hit where somebody can see it coming or
Right.
anything else. The head damage that can be done is crazy.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. But because he has a hearing, I believe it's in person. So who knows what will come from that? We don't know. But
We do not notice.
like we said before, Haru definitely he has a track history. At one point, he was suspended indefinitely when he was in juniors. He was suspended a little bit for the dock hit. There is a track record with him and doing some hits, some things that really borderline more intent to injure and not just being a physical hockey player.
Yeah, and again, that's an extra nasty, and I'm sure with his history, people perked up a little bit more. So
Yeah,
he can go away. That would be fine by me.
I'm okay with that, at least for a little bit. Other NHL news, what kind of NHL? It's out of the realm of our prospects and the big league or the big club. Quarterfinals for the World Juniors are going to start tomorrow for us, but today when the podcast comes out, they start on Thursday. For quarterfinals, we have Czech Republic versus Canada, Sweden versus Latvia, US versus Switzerland, and Finland versus Slovakia. So really the only teams that are not a part of the quarterfinals are Kazakhstan and Germany.
Yes. I have not been able to watch any of that, but maybe I can. If you guys hear like screaming in the background from my woman, get your minds out of the gutter. It has only something to do with college football. Okay. And I guess Arizona State has just tied up Texas. So it's a big deal. But we got the FUBA for 7 days on a free trial just so I could get rid of it because all the college hockey games are on ESPN, which I don't have. So now I'll look and see if I can watch the World Juniors maybe also. But I guess that USA Canada game was quite entertaining. Did you want to talk about that a little bit, Hockey Princess?
Heck yes. Heck yes. I love talking about World Juniors. Well, first of all, before we get to the US Canada game, I would just love to not only shout out the whole team Latvia for just grossly exceeding expectations. And a reminder for the folks who don't know that Latvian goaltender that played out of his mind against Canada is not drafted. He's just sitting in the Q League, undrafted. KD, we can always have more goaltenders. I know we probably won't, but we can. And there's plenty of other teams. So I'm really hoping. I'm hoping that this kid.
KD's already discarded a goaltender who looked good in the World Juniors. That would be Kevin Lankinen. He already said, "Nah, I don't need him." Looks like he needs Kevin Lankinen now.
Everybody needs Kevin Lankinen. Or maybe Kevin Lankinen just needed to get out of Chicago.
Yeah, we could talk about that some more. That's starting to seem like the case more and more now, isn't it?
There's a lot of players who weren't doing the best now or best when we had them. And then they are grossly exceeding expectations now that they are out of Chicago and away from Chicago media. So maybe Kevin just needed to go to Canada and be appreciated. Because from what I've heard, the Canucks fans appreciate Kevin Lankinen, as they should.
I am sure they do. Hold on. My woman, that's your alarm. Sorry about that. We're multitasking here on the show today.
No, we're not. You're doing the show.
Some bullshit.
I hope nobody heard that on the air.
No.
My woman was being a little bit of a smart aleck.
That's fair. Also, I would love to shout out not only Patrick Laine, but Elvis. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but the goaltender for Columbus.
Merlikin?
Yes. Both had bought dinners for their respective team. That's at the World Juniors right now. So I believe that is Team Latvian, Team Finland. and has treated the team a little extra something
We've got a couple
special
more minutes
while they're at the World Juniors. So I thought that was nice because they didn't have to.
I have to get out again.
But yeah, USA Canada game, absolutely great. Really, just Canada kind of tanking during this World Juniors, absolutely great. That's what they get for snubbing Nick Lardis. But I just love watching how feisty and fun these USA kids are. They were fun last year. I know we've got a lot of doubles that were on the team last year that are here now. And I think they've kind of taken the leadership because we don't have guys from like NASCAR and McGroarty's class there anymore because they've aged out. You can definitely tell that they have learned from them and has kind of continued that sort of same mindset going into this year. And gosh darn it, it's just really fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm hoping somehow I can actually watch that game. Maybe later on tonight after my woman goes to bed. But the entertainment value for U.S. Canada is just off the charts. That's for World Juniors. If anybody has ever watched any women's hockey, but the women's Canada USA game is also off the hook. There is a lot of showboating. There is a lot of mouthing off. It is constant. And you can say that Canada is X, Y, or Z. Hey, as long as they win out, they're going to be champs. So it's not over for them. Don't count Canada out. But the U.S. has looked really good. But yeah, it's unbelievably fun watching. I like the U.S. Canada more just because I think everybody else shows a little bit more respect to the other places. But once it's Canada, U.S., respect just kind of goes out the window, and everything just flies out of their mouths and everything else.
Well, and what I found that was interesting is like listening to the interviews post game is the ones that did get rather spicy on ice. They interviewed them off ice, and they're like, "Yeah, like it's just a game. We're gonna like I don't hate them now. It was just during the game. It's fine now." And so I mean that's what they
right. Yeah, I don't believe that completely. Again, most of these kids have been competing against each other since they've been about 10. And doing that for their country through different Bantam and everything else. I understand that they're able to turn it off, kind of, but the intensity level while it's there is pretty unbelievable. And trust me, if we end up with a Canada-US final,
that'd be awesome.
Somebody is going to be ass hurt. So from what somebody says, there's going to be people on the other team saying, yeah, they were real dicks, this or that, and they're going to harbor resentments past that game. That's a fact. It's just a game thing. It's because they know it's just a preliminary round. They're not going to talk the same way once it's the medal round.
That one in particular I was more referring to Yzerman had a lot of profanity to say directed at a specific Canada player. Easton Cowan went into the penalty box, and then Yzerman scored on the USA power play, and Yzerman made a purpose to kind of chirp at Cowan directly, and so they asked him about that afterwards. And I think it was more just like a specific, like, yeah, I just got heated during the game, but I don't actually hate Easton sort of thing, because you look on the ice and you're like, ooh.
Yeah, and again, Yzerman's somebody with something to prove. So, he dropped way in the draft. So there you have it.
But it should be interesting. It should be very interesting. More entertaining than some of the other games Krusty and I have watched this past week.
I hear ya.
Krusty, you got anything for the NHL world?
NHL world. That's a darn good question. What would I have from the NHL world?
Oh.
I don't know. I guess we can discuss it at some point. Yeah, I'll just go with, Kirby Doc with a couple of goals in his second to last game, and then the game winner last night. We'll just, do that. I got nothing real NHL wise. Again, I'm wondering when the Predators coach gets fired. That's about it. And
That's about it.
What else happens in New York?
Yeah, because that's just crazy. There's the rumors that Zibanejad is either waiving his no movement clause or he's open to it. It's very interesting to see if he actually goes and if he goes to where.
Right. None for me? Oh, it's so rude. Hold on. Yes, as far as they're concerned, can we stick on them for a second? Sure. We don't have to flip our graphic, do we? Oh, look at that. Now, if I were to tell you to go prospects, what would you do? Holy shitskis. Okay, let's go back NHL world. This is too cool. I'm really having a lot of fun with that. Do we continue to talk about Rangers? Because there's a massive sell-off. Shesterkin is now on IR. So that means, doesn't that mean white flag? So,
you thought we were waving the white flag. No. I mean, we are, but now we just have company.
We just dress in white, so it's like one big white flag all the time. So yeah, as far as the Rangers, I would assume there's a whole wholesale going on in everything else. So
James Higgins, you are a New York Ranger.
There's no way they can play bad enough to get him. So good luck with that.
It only took me 3 tries in the tankathon.
But as far as Zibanejad, yeah, if they can move him. But again, what's your end game here now?
I don't think they know.
Because there's not a ton talent. You have the bread man, right?
Right.
Lafreniere, you're gonna hook your wagon to him. So, but that's super cool.
So, no, if anything,
right, I'm done with it.
If anything, Bettman's gonna rig it so the Islanders get Higgins, not the Rangers. We couldn't do that.
What did you think about Roy's move in the last game?
I don't pay attention to Roy.
There's about 50 seconds to go in the Islanders' last game.
Okay.
They're down by either 1 or 2. I think it's 1. He decides to pull the goaltender in the defensive zone. Craig Berube said he was so certain. He goes, I've never seen anything like that, nor would I ever expect anything like that. That's Patrick Waugh being Patrick Waugh. Just, being as stupid as he can.
Fair enough.
All right, I've got. Can I eat during the show?
You already are, so.
Does it sound bad?
No, it's fine. It's just gross.
Well, give us a review if you think it sounds bad, because then I won't next time.
All right, getting into the kiddos.
Sorry, but we're gonna give we're gonna give an easy feel to this show because of how bad things are.
We hate everything.
But go on. Sorry for the speed bump.
Prospects. Just a reminder, college kids are still out on break, so we don't have a lot of the college kids playing right now. I believe that'll come back this upcoming week. But the CHL kids are playing because in Canada, you never stop playing hockey. You got Nick Lardis with 3 goals and 2 assists this past weekend. Merrick Vanaker with a goal and an assist, both for the Brantford Bulldogs. Martin Misiak, you have 3 assists total between the 2 games. Ty Henry with 1 assist. Jack Pridham out of the Kitchener Rangers, 1 goal and 1 assist. Spellacy with an assist. Cancer off with a couple of points. Crusty old guy's favorite prospect. And then for our World Junior boys with Yuri Felkman as well as Oliver Moore, you have 2 assists out of the preliminary round. And one thing that I would like to say about Team USA and with Oliver Moore, and Krusty and I kind of talked about this already, a lot of people are disappointed that he's playing third line minutes. We don't know what Oliver Moore is going to be. I'm just going to put that out there. We don't know. We don't really know anything about these prospects. However, right now he's playing third line center for Team USA, and it's kind of a bummer. The 2 guys in front of him, James Higgins, who is playing for Boston College right now and is projected to go number 1 in the 2025 draft, is a top center. Danny Nelson, who is playing top 6, I'd say 90% of the time at Notre Dame, that was drafted a couple of years ago by the New York Islanders, is a top center. He is playing third line center minutes because there are 2 number 1 center guys on the team. I would imagine that if Higgins or Nelson wasn't there, then he's easily your number 2 center guy. And there's no way that Higgins isn't going to be the number 1 center because, 1, you have the fluff piece of running the Boston College line with Ryan Leonard, Gabe Perreault, and James Higgins. And 2, he is your number 1 prospect going into the draft. There's no way that Team USA is either going to keep him off the roster or not give him maximum playing time.
Again, we don't know what Oliver Moore is.
We know nothing.
Oliver Moore was taken 19, and had it not been for KD, who knows how much further he would have slid. So obviously there's some fleas on that. We don't know. But again, as we preface a lot on this show, after top 5, and sometimes in the top 5, you still don't know.
Capo Caco, we didn't know. New York didn't know.
Yeah. So with that being said, anything outside the top 10, you just are unsure. You could hit with your first 3 outside the top 10, and you could miss with all 3. So I don't know what Oliver Moore is. Is he a superstar? Probably not. He might just be a third line center. Okay. We need everything. So no, you shouldn't be, as you stated, worrying about where this is for somebody who is 17 and 18 years old.
Right.
So, and whether they're first or second line centers, third line, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Right. No, their top 2 centers for Team USA, I think, have proven either be it fluff because they're coming up in the draft this year, or they've just consistently shown more than Oliver has this past year. I think that's really why I don't think it's a huge cause for concern, but I think there is Danny Nelson has put up more than Oliver Moore, so Danny Nelson's going to get the number 2 C spot.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Nelson is so much fun to watch. Guys, I'm not an Islanders fan, but I'm slowly becoming a Danny Nelson fan. That kid is fun.
That's okay. They'll ruin him.
Fair enough. So that's all that we have for the prospects. We've got a lot for Rockford, though. We get timeouts, friends. We've got the first.
Well, if we're it's the speed bump number 2.
Yes.
I'm making it my goal in this show today. So there's a distinct possibility that Lardass could have really been used on Team Canada, correct?
Yes.
They're not scoring an ungodly amount of goals, are they?
No.
And he has been able to put the puck in the net at an unbelievable pace, right?
Yes.
That's all I wanted to check on. Carry on.
And while we're on the Lardass point, give me 1 second.
Well, there's a lot of points because it's a Lardass. So it's, there's point A, B, C, D, E, whatever.
Well, like you said, referring to Oliver Moore, after top 10 in the first round, you just don't know.
You don't?
You then could go to the 3rd round and get an absolute steal like the Lard has.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Crazier things have happened.
A lot crazier things have happened. Again, he's a little bit smaller, but putting the puck in the net is a gift. And it's the one thing I've seen is flat out shooters usually can continue to shoot. Maybe not at the same level, but are still goal scorers.
The instinct is still there to shoot.
Now, your people that rack up a lot of points and they're more playmakers, sometimes that never adjusts. But if you've got a knack to shoot the puck, that game really doesn't change in the NHL. If you can hit corners in juniors, you're going to succeed hitting those corners in the NHL. It's that simple. So, again, in our dark times right now, that is the Lardes is a nice sight. Okay, now we
to the Rockford with another nice sight.
Ice Hogs. Oh, sorry, I'm done.
First Rockford game, we have Camesso shutout. His first shutout with being with Rockford. It was great. You know, it was also great. Guys, I'm going to be real. I wasn't watching it live. And then Krusty sent me a text in the middle of the night being like, did you see your guy get into a fight? And I'm like, what happened? Savoie because last time we didn't explain what I'm holding up and it was just the awkward silence.
Yes, because you talked about your guy and everything, and then just so now you for your listening audience, you've now stated whose jersey you're holding up.
It's always Savoie.
It's not a Rockford jersey. It's a
Gatineau Olympiques Savoie jersey.
There you have it.
This kid has more fight in half of his pinky than the roster at the Winter Classic. I said it.
Wow, that was rough.
Oh my God. This kid, incredible. Also, he is listed as 5'10". In no world is this kid actually 5'10", maybe 5'10" with like the skates. He's not as tiny in NASCAR, but he's definitely a smaller dude. This man took down David Jiricek, who is a giant 6'4" dude, and then proceeded to fight him and then skate away and then encourage the crowd. It was beautiful. It was absolutely a beautiful sight to watch, especially with all of the times I have to go down to the United Center and watch the Blackhawks not care. It was great to see this exciting moment. That was all. I just had to give a Savoie shout out because it's my show.
It was a phenomenal play, and it encompasses what that kid can do. He's a motivator. We've mentioned a million times. He's the guy who brings it into the fight. Yada yada yada. And now we're just going to say, we need him up as soon as possible, just because we need something else to watch.
We need something else to watch. Speaking of something else up to watch, and I know I dared a certain former coffee boy to do this a couple of weeks ago, call up Colton Dock. You're not going to call up Savvy yet because there's other guys in line. That's fine, whatever. I hate it, but I get it. Give Colton a shot. Give Colton 2 games. I promise you, you can scratch Joey Anderson. You can scratch Khrushchev however many times that you want. I don't agree with it, but just do it to give the kid a shot. Please give him a game or 2. You gave all of the defensive prospects at the end of the year a shot at the end of the year. Just give him one, please. Also, because it's just gosh darn more entertaining to watch.
Yeah, and I'm getting to the same place quickly also. But again, we don't want to mess with development, so we'll see. But he needs to be up for a couple. I completely agree.
I don't see a couple of games hurting him development-wise. especially like maybe not put him against Anaheim where there's a chance that he could die at the hands of Jacob Trouba or Radko Gudas. Planet, maybe. I don't see a couple of games hurting his development. And, it's not like we're bringing up one of the younger kids. I put Doc as one of like the older kids from the young group. So I don't see it as too much of a push. I mean, in September, he was fighting for a spot.
Yeah, and again, any of these kids that you bring up, is it really going to affect their growth, their development? I don't know. I mean, NASCAR hasn't looked all that good. So you might as well just send him back down. But I don't care if you just start circulating all of them through as I've said way before many times on this show is, listen, this is still a very old team. It's a very veteran team. So I worry about what messes up that locker room. Well, I'm sorry, after January 31st. December 31st, I could friggin' care less about the locker room. Obviously, the locker room's in shambles and it's a shithole. So you can't get it. You can't damage it anymore. You've been on the national stage for a week and you've been blown out in every game so far. That's 3 in a row. So
that was putting up 11 goals in 48 hours.
Yeah, and that was one of my things is you don't want to start taking time away from, but they have, now I don't care because obviously the room's a mess to begin with. So as much as I preach, be patient, don't be yelling for these, bring them all up. I don't care. They've worn me down. I'm like the kid who keeps on being treated like crap. All of a sudden, I'm like, yeah, whatever. So yes, does Colton deserve it? Yeah. I think there's also something to be said for getting that team ready for a playoff push with a coach that's never coached before. Isn't that like an oxymoron? Or is that oxymoron? Oxymoron. We're going to get him ready with somebody who's never gotten anybody ready. That seems pretty dumb too, doesn't it? Okay, sorry. Carry on.
Yeah, so with the rest of that game, it was very veteran scoring game, which is fine. They were scoring. That's really what I care about. But yeah, shutout. It was great. Played against Iowa the following night with crusty old guy's favorite prospect getting his first AHL goal. Friggin' finally.
Yeah, hide and seek and Paula has been hide and seeking from the score sheet. So it was great to see hide and seek and Paul finally put one in. So
yeah, that was great. Colton again, insane, great game. Call him up yesterday. And then one more game, New Year's Eve game. They unfortunately lost, like the big club, in a very Chicago Blackhawk way. Game starts. Iowa's up by 2 very quickly. Then they rush to catch up. They finally catch up. 30 seconds later, somebody must have scored in football.
Hold on. Can we take a break?
No.
Are they in overtime?
Yes, this Texas kicker that they have said is like the best kicker in college football.
The guy with the long hair?
Yeah, he missed 2 in a row.
Texas kicker missed 2 in a row.
He went wide right and then joined left.
Oh, come horns. Sorry. Hockey Princess doesn't give a crap. Back on with the hockey. Sorry.
So, again, we got the New Year's Eve game. Bit of a snoozer. Rockford's down 2 early. Then they tie it up. Then they're down 2 again. And then they try to tie it up. Iowa scores again. It's a constant game of catch up throughout the entire game. Savoie, though, was on the second line, which was a little kooky crazy, but I loved it. Uh, I did feel like he'll be kind of sifting back to the third line once NASCAR is back in, but we'll enjoy it for now. You had Spodniak drawing in on the fourth line. Ledwinski was up on the third line with Lipin. That seems to be pairing quite well for the two of them, so I'm glad that Eaton's kind of just keeping it. I don't know the reason for getting Lipin or like what caused Lipin to be getting more and more ice time. But honestly, I think it fits very nicely with this group right now. And so I'm glad that they're kind of just leaving him be and it's working in terms of bottom six ice time.
Yeah, again, hide and seek and Paul's got some wheels, and we know Lupin's got wheels. He might not have anything else, but he's got wheels. So, that attack mindset might be working for them a little bit.
Yeah. That's all I have for Radford.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a couple of games. It was very entertaining. Call up Savoie and Colton Dock, for the love of God. And I'll get into more of that when we talk about the Winter Classic. But time for the point that we've been dreading. We've spoken 36 minutes trying to prolong not having to talk about our team because it's not good.
Sorry. I was finishing a pizza roll. This one's been a real tough one. Me and Hockey Princess didn't quite know how to handle this section of the show because there is nothing good to talk about. And so do we break down a complete shit burger and tell you all the little pieces of shit?
Well, I mean, may I get on my high horse?
Or should we just open the floor to the Hockey Princess and let her get on her soapbox and preach away?
Let me get on my soapbox.
Preach, Hockey Princess. Preach. I believe, Hockey Princess.
There was a lot of discourse, especially after the Dallas Stars game, regarding can someone, not really, because Danny Wirtz has the backbone of a gummy worm, can someone hold Kyle Davidson accountable for his actions? A lot of people said, this is a rebuild. Do you understand what a rebuild is? There is a difference between being in a rebuild and still being able to hold the GM accountable for what he said. This man has guaranteed us that Lucas Reichel is a centerman. He's not. He's doing better with the couple of veterans that we have, but he's not really a centerman. This man has hired Luke Richardson. Did not pan out. This man brought in a lot of veteran leadership. And as Krusty has said, the locker room is in shambles. You have Connor Bedard almost crying after the Winter Classic game because of how bad and how embarrassing it was. There are things that Kyle has done along the way that we're now seeing that maybe they weren't the correct choice. We are still allowed to critique that even though we're in a rebuild. And there was very much the mentality of, well, it really doesn't matter between being 22nd, 32nd. Of course it does. Are we now just saying that winning never matters, that we will never get out of this, being the last place team in the league? We are the Buffalo Sabres of the NHL now? Is that what this means? That we are just stuck in this bottom period because winning really doesn't matter? That's pathetic. That is absolutely pathetic to say winning doesn't matter. I hate it. I hated watching all of these games. Being at the Winter Classic, that we'll talk about that in a second because that was actually pleasant. But watching these games, it's sad. I'm sick of it. I don't know about you, Christy, but I am sick of watching this.
Well, for me, it's a lot of, hey, listen, if I'm supposed to act a certain way, I need to be told how to act. So this is a rebuild. What the fuck does that mean? We're never good again? Is that what it means? What does it mean? San Jose's in a rebuild. They're playing good hockey. We're in a rebuild. Further along, we're in year 3 of our rebuild, and we're playing like dog shit. That's supposed to be okay. You watched the last 3 games here, and you said it's part of the fucking plan? Come on. That's not part of the fucking plan. Mm-mm. So I'll use bigger words and I'll get even angrier. No, we were told we were going to be better. He needs to be held accountable.
We were told that this was unacceptable.
He hired the wrong coach. My big problem is flat out, this is a wasted year. This is a year of no development and a year of not moving forward. And if you truly believe you go from 32nd in the league to all of a sudden the next year fighting for a playoff spot, way too many gummies in your world, okay? Put down the friggin' gummies, okay? And don't type on your keyboard anymore. Be off the gummies for at least a week before you write anything. Because it's not the way it works, okay? We're 3 years away from making a game on March 1st remotely matter. It's January 1st, and no game matters this year. We are stuck with teams coming in here, knowing we're the worst team in the league, so never getting anybody's top effort and never getting a full, actual hard game against anyone. So that way, when you're developing talent, when you're analyzing your talent, you don't have a good baseboard because who you're playing against is going through the motions and still kicking your ass. So does it matter? Is this part? There's no way this is part of it, okay? This is mistake number 2. Kyle Davidson had a huge mistake number 1 last year, which basically is you skimped your roster and all of a sudden you had injuries and you had nobody to replace people. And you had to sign Zach Stanford and the other idiot from Buffalo's minor league team. That's a huge mistake. He attempted to correct that by bringing in more veteran players who aren't playing any better. Okay? And yes, Hockey Princess.
I think my biggest issue with the veterans, and I'm going to stand up for because one of them is Tavo, you brought in veterans. Okay, fine, whatever. I understand that point because if many people have screeched into my inbox that this is a rebuild, I understand that you have to bring in veterans because at the end of last year, we didn't have anybody. You brought in veterans to fill the wrong spaces and made them have it, then gave an expectation that this was what they were supposed to be doing. And this is what everything's fixed now because we have Taylor Hall. No. I think he's had some great moments, but very much fluffing up that we were getting the Taylor Hall of 5 years ago. That's not fair to our team. That's not fair to the fan base. And that's certainly not fair to Taylor Hall. Teuvo Teravainen on the Carolina Hurricanes was not playing top 6 minutes, mainly because the Carolina Hurricanes are absolutely stacked. But to kind of shove him up at top 6 minutes, and then when he's not performing top 6 minutes, be like, he's a bust. We shouldn't have signed him. No, you just have him in the wrong spot, and you saw that by moving him down. He's got more chemistry with Mickey Mouse, and things are working slightly better. You just got the wrong veterans. You got veterans, and then you decided to put a triangle peg into a square hole. It doesn't work. And you got a goaltender who is hurt all year.
Well, That's something else we could get into also, since we're really not going to talk about the games. We'll just
I
go
have
off on
no desire to talk about those
we'll
games.
just go on tangents about everything.
I was stuck in the rain surrounded by St. Louis Blues fans, and my team is losing. That was awful.
We have talked about on this show and other places that, what happens to this team if normal Peter Mrazek comes back? He's back. And now we know what happens. The first 3 games ago when Sorensen had put together the little winning streak, as we like to say in the biz, the coaching bump, there was a gazillion opportunities for people to score. They just didn't hit the net. Now they're hitting the net. And Peter Mrazek is playing like the older Peter Mrazek. So, again, getting back on the whole thing of this is a rebuild.
What does that mean?
I still don't know what that means. But what I'm surmising from all of it, and I don't even know if that's the proper word, me and my vocabulary aren't very impressive, is results don't matter. And how bad the results are don't matter. How do you expect to change a culture? Now, I've been told with this rebuild, we're changing the culture. Now, we have changed the culture. The Jonathan Toews culture is left, and we're left with this other culture that really, hey, go about your business, say how awful it is, and oh my God, I can't believe we've done this again, and, act like an alcoholic, after a bender. I'm really sorry, man. I don't know really what happened, but I won't be doing that anymore. All right, that wasn't the best term to be using, but sorry. It's the first one that came into my mind. And so that's okay. That's what the rebuild is? Come on. It's just not. You have no beacons of hope. You have again, I'm a big proponent of accountability. There is no accountability for anyone. I am a huge Seth Jones fan. I saw Seth going through the motions at the Winter Classic to where he's had enough. I mean, I've seen tons of players on this team already going through the motions. Yes, Hockey Princess.
I've brought this up a couple of times, but regarding Seth Jones and Peter Mrazek, I'm not convinced whatsoever that they're actually healthy. I think they just came back they're back enough to lace up skates to be on the ice for the Winter Classic. I'm not convinced either of them are actually healthy.
Oh, I'm sure Seth is basically healthy. Again, it is what it is. He's got to get into complete skating shape. He's probably there by now. Between him and the Beacon of Hope, if we're just talking about the Winter Classic, I get why you didn't go balls out. Nothing but bad things are going to happen on that ice if you do. And for those who wanted to call out the Beacon of Hope after just that game, that's not a fair statement. I mean, that's some crappy ice out there, and all it takes is a little rut to put you out for the year. So you're not going as fast as you usually would.
Right.
So, again, getting back on the rebuild, I need somebody to tell me then when do we start an upward trend, because we're still going down. We're adding pieces and we're still going downward. So this is year 3. Does our downward trend end at year 6? If that's the case, then by year 9, we're basically back to this point. And then maybe by year 12, we're a playoff team. Then I beg to differ. How's that a rebuild? That's just being really bad for a long time. That's Buffalo. That's Phoenix. That's Anaheim. Anybody can do that. That's not a rebuild. That's being bad. Okay. Again, it's a job that all of us would love. We would love to all of a sudden be told you get to run something. You're accountable for nothing. You don't have to tell anybody what your goals are. You get to sit down there at work meetings and go, well, our trajectory is, just not good, but I can't tell you exactly where.
With that being said,
when do I see our sales going up? It's hard to tell. In this kind of business, you just don't know. Does anybody still have a job after that? I don't think so, but in KD's world, he gets to. Because his boss doesn't care. And I know that for a fact. Because at the Winter Classic, as we were down 4-1, and I'm sitting in my seat, cold, stewing like Herb Brooks behind the bench in Miracle, I look up, and in one of the boxes, I see Danny Wirtz with a big-ass grin on his face. Like, there is no problem with any of this. No, you don't give a shit. So, hey, I'm sorry I had to put that in, but
no, it's fair.
Things will get better.
No, it won't.
I don't think we should rant about it anymore. As far as the games, there's nothing to discuss. It is a full team effort how bad these players are right now. I will give one guy a pass and one guy only.
Does he perhaps wear a number 8?
Yes, I will still give a pass to number 8, who seems like every check he can finish, he's finishing, and anytime he can go balls out, he goes balls out.
Ryan, are the captain.
After that, I can't give it to anybody. That includes Connor Murphy. That includes Seth Jones. That includes the Pickle. It's a team effort to be this bad. It's not easy to be this bad. You have to work at it. And I believe they're working at it. The main problems that they've had for the last 3 years is their blatant disregard for the blue line and its importance on either end, and how important it is to get the puck deep and get it out and do the simple things haven't changed. So that's all you need to know about the games. Would you like to talk about the Winter Classic and how fun it was?
Sure. I had fun until the game started. It was done up really nice. To be honest, I don't remember a ton about the first Winter Classic at Wrigley Field because I was but small. The only thing that I do remember is chucking my hand warmers and pegging a Datsuk fan in the back of the head because I didn't appreciate that Detroit was winning. That's really all that I remember about that game. So it was done up very nicely. You had the pumpkins before. You had Chance the Rapper in between the first period break. You had DJ Oreo between the second period break. It was, aside from the game, it was fun. It was cold, but it was fun.
Oh my God!
Yes, it was nicely done. It was
Oh my God! This is so
good. That's my woman still watching the Arizona State Texas game, telling me I'm missing one of the top 10 college football games of all time.
It was 4th and 13, and they scored.
Who scored?
Texas. Now it's going to a second overtime.
Second overtime.
Oh, great! It's football. Great. I care so much.
I know. And me being a Pumpkin fan, it was great to see Billy up there. I don't know who Chance is. I don't know what kind of rapper. Is he an actual musical rapper, or is he like a rapper that you put candy in? You rap it?
He's a musical rapper.
Okay.
He's a hometown guy, and he's got a lot of fans. There were a lot of people very excited.
Right, but So I should call myself Crusty Old Guy, the podcaster?
Yeah.
I mean, if he's a rapper and he's pretty good, don't they know he's a rapper?
It's
Why
a
would you
part
need
of
to
the
say
name.
Chance the Rapper?
It's part of the name.
It's part of the name.
Yeah.
So Little Sliver, the rapper, works.
You don't have to understand it. You're crusty.
Okay, now I'm just getting into old mean stuff. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't get the name.
You had the pumpkins. The
Yes.
folk had Chance.
Okay.
It was a nice balance.
Yes, I enjoyed his show. I'm just talking about the name. I just don't quite understand.
Other part of the Winter Classic is and I don't really understand the point of it whatsoever, but it is a thing where they announce the quarterly teams for the St. Louis Blues and the Blackhawks. They're just announcing the best players from the past 25 years. I think it's silly, but whatever. It was an opportunity for them to name Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews and Nicholas Hjalmarsson, so I'm a happy camper.
Yeah, I was wondering if you wanted to get into that for a quick second, considering.
But they had no one there aside from Campbell, who's a part of the organization, and Jocelyn Thibault, who I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he predates me, or at least predates to when I remember.
Yes. Yes, he's from the early 2000s, not a bad goaltender. It shows you how they had nobody else.
Yes.
The reason for this is it's the quarter century. Nothing fills sports talk airwaves better than lists like this, because even for the Blackhawks, you get to put out a list like this and then go instantly, well, how's Patrick Sharp first team and Marian Hossa is second team?
Yeah, that's why.
And then everybody talks about it for 5,000 hours. NHL will be doing this with every team.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get 2 more, I believe, each day.
I think they announced Arizona and somebody else today.
But that's the gist of it. It's so you can fill airtime. These are the doldrum times of the season, the dog days, as they like to say. So it gives you something a little bit extra to talk about.
Yeah.
We won't be talking about it very much. I got a lot of other questions for Brian Campbell, except, that he's second team. My thing is, what kind of development is he doing? That don't look like it's working out very well.
Krusty's fine, guys.
I'm fine. I want to thank you and all of your listeners and other people that have to deal with me, because I need this slight venting or else something very bad will happen.
Okay.
So I want to thank all of you for letting me vent. In this way, I'll be ready for Friday night, whether I'm at a college game or a pro game.
Guys, he'll be at the pro game. Kirby Doc will be inside the United Center. There is no way he is going to sit outside with me and watch Notre Dame hockey in 12 degrees.
You're not selling it, I can tell you that, Hockey Princess. You're not selling it.
No.
I'm
not selling it to myself.
Yeah, I hear you. It sounds a lot better until you go out there. And the classic was, I, for one, never got really cold. I had major league layers on. I had long underwear, flannel pants, and ski pants. And 3 layers of t-shirt, sweatshirt, and then my jacket. In nice gloves, and that seemed to do it. I was pretty comfortable. Took the snow pants off, I think, for most of the game.
Yeah.
So I only wore 1 pair of socks, my woman. Nice thick ones that you had bought me back in my working days. So it wasn't that bad, but again, with the Winter Classic, it easily could have been 30 degrees worse. And then it's just a problem. It's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Again, one of the main reasons why I did not go to Minnesota for that game, because I'm like, I don't. Odds are just in the favor of it being minus something. And I love hockey,
Been on that.
but I love live hockey. But that cold. So, but if anybody who's younger has an opportunity to go to any kind of I would suggest going to it. There's also a nice little feel to, you have a good mix of fan bases, which is something that I really kind of enjoy. St. Louis fans around us were pretty decent.
Yes.
They really rubbed it in at the end, and well, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
When your team doesn't even show up, you know, if you're the opposing team, you should be rubbing it in their face. So,
yeah.
And this just in, Texas won barely. They did not cover the spread.
Why do you keep bringing football into my show?
Because my woman is screaming and yelling.
Why are you
I'm
bringing
sorry, I
football?
told you I'd be all over the place this show.
Yeah, that's fine.
Are you going to fire me now, too?
Gosh, no. Who else will be the Seth Jones defender?
There's not many. We're dropping like flies. Okay.
Got anything else? Got
I got
anything else
nothing
this
else.
week?
I got nothing else.
Well, all right then. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either
Please,
Spotify,
please do.
Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. Leave us a review. Tell us how we're doing. Roast crusty old guy, guys. He lives for the validation or the criticism.
Yes. Come on, say something about me.
There you go. We will talk to you guys next week.